Welcome back to the show, ladies. I am super, super pumped about today's episode. We have an amazing guest here with us, and if you ladies are on the side of social media, like in regards to toxic relationships, healing, whatever it may be, breakups, you have probably definitely seen this beautiful face. So we have Ashley Maland here with us today, also known as Ash Taylor. Social media famous, but dude, this girl has been through so much stuff. It is truly an honor to have her here with us today because I truly believe that you ladies need to hear this message. And she's here today to talk with us about what it's like to walk away from a toxic relationship. So, without any further ado, welcome to the show, Ashley.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course, of course.
So, just a couple of questions that I want to ask you. One of the first things is, whenever it comes to walking away from toxic relationships and stuff like that, how did you know that it was time to actually walk away? Like, what was that determining factor, if that makes sense?
I think it is different in every scenario. If you've been in multiple relationships with which most of us have,
Mm-hmm.
and you have been the type of person that somehow ends up in toxic relationships, which a lot of us have, and
Yep.
there's so much behind that, and we can get into that later. But it's different in every scenario. But I can honestly say that I think if we're honest with ourselves, there's always a sign right away. The signs are always there in the beginning that this isn't right and
Right.
something's wrong here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think instinctually, I'm probably going to have to walk away from this. I think you instinctually know,
Right.
but you have to wrap your head around it before you finally make the choice. And sometimes you make that choice and you truly do walk away. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you're forced to. Like sometimes you aren't even the one that chooses it, but somehow you are forced to do it. Either way,
Mm-hmm.
the feeling, the grief, the process of leaving is the same, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That makes
Which
sense.
I'm sure you can attest to.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Did you kind of feel like you were in denial whenever,
Oh,
like, you knew that you had to leave, but you just didn't want to face it?
100% every time.
Yeah.
100% every time. Like,
Mm.
I wrote a quote recently on my page that talks about um, your intuition always knows,
Yeah.
but the empathetic side of you, the loving side of you doesn't want to believe it, right?
Man, that's so
Like, you
powerful.
want to believe that you can love people through the things that your intuition is telling you is there. You
Man.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're like stuck between two worlds where you need to leave and you want to stay. You know what
Mm.
I mean? And
That's like the worst. Yeah. That
it's tough.
is the worst. Oh my gosh. So, whenever you were going through that, how did you feel, like, inside? Just like, completely empty?
No, I wish I had felt completely empty. I mean, and there was a point in one of my relationships where it came to that, but I think that was
Mhm.
because that part of me had died already. Like
Mm.
there's a certain point in every relationship when you realize there is nothing I can do that's going to change this at this point.
Right.
That's going to change the way this looks. And I think in those scenarios when you accept that but you haven't like physically moved on and that part of you dies, when you do finally walk away, you do feel empty in a
Yeah.
sense, right?
Right. Right.
Um but then there's also the scenario where um you're still emotionally ingrained and you're not ready to let go, but you know you need to. And
Mhm.
honestly, like that, it is the most awful feeling in the world of knowing it's time
Right.
and not wanting it to be. Like
Man,
wanting
yeah.
to see the picture differently than what is in front of you, wanting to
Exactly.
believe that maybe if I just give this a little bit more time, this will look differently, but also knowing it's not going to. And
Right.
it's time for me to
So
walk.
freaking difficult. Yeah, and so what's your thoughts on if you are in a relationship and the guy keeps telling you that he's gonna change and you're holding on to any ounce of hope that you have, do you ever think that they're ever gonna change? Like, in my opinion, I don't think that they're ever gonna change if they didn't while you were there. Why would they change once you leave to try and get you back? Get where I'm coming from?
Here's the thing, the patterns that someone has shown you is
Mhm.
who they are. And
Man,
and
that
and
is so
maybe
good.
maybe they will be different in another relationship.
Yeah.
But with your relationship and with this person, the
Hmm.
patterns that have already been displayed are the patterns that are going to continue. And that's not to say that in the moment when they're saying, "Oh, I'm going to change," they don't feel that way. That's not even to
Right.
say they don't feel that way or that they don't want that. But
Exactly.
people are who they are,
It
and
is
they
so
show
hard to
you the
understand.
way they feel about you in those patterns, right?
Damn. Yeah.
So they will always resort back to the original behavior until
Yeah.
or unless they get like deep help
Right.
themselves and they deeply genuinely see the mistakes they have made and want it to work with you.
Right.
um but that isn't unfortunately usually what happens.
Exactly. And
So
whenever it comes to somebody that is like emotionally abusive or even physically, whatever it may be, have
mhm.
you ever known that type of person to ever change? Like, I feel like that's not even like
It's
that
who
would
they
be
are.
like a miracle.
And I think it's exactly like what I just said. Unless that person can honestly deeply reflect and go, you know what, I keep showing up like this in every relationship and it keeps hurting people,
Mhm.
and I need to get help and figure out how to show up as a different person.
Right.
Until that happens,
Mhm.
their relationships will always look the same. They're
Right.
always going to be emotionally or mentally abusive.
Yeah.
Like that's or physically for that matter. Like that
Mhm.
is going to be who they are until they can acknowledge and have the self-awareness to get help. And sadly, most of the time that's not the case. Most of the time those people continue on throughout their life just the same. They don't get
Exactly.
help because they don't even know that they need it. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah. And like
So
that's the hard part. So
it
whenever go ahead, sorry. What were you going to
no,
say?
that's it.
Whenever you were like in that toxic relationship, did you ever like want to go back or feel like you had to just like get a text from them or text them or something like that to feel a little bit better? Did you ever feel that way?
Every single time.
Yeah.
Like I'm not ashamed to say that I had weak moments where I
Mhm.
wanted to go back or weak moments that I did go back. There
Right.
were situations where I went back multiple times to a person that I knew wasn't good for me.
Mm.
And I knew the relationship wasn't good. And I knew the relationship wouldn't change. But your brain tricks you because it's what's comfortable, even if it's a horrible comfort.
Mhm.
You're
Exactly.
comfortable with the pattern because it's what you have grown used to. And
Yeah.
there is a relief. There is like a serotonin boost in going back and being held by that person and thinking that they want to be there and thinking
Exactly.
that they want you. And unfortunately, you always end up learning the hard way when you do that
Right.
because
Exactly.
you again realize this person is who they always were. And
Mhm.
no matter how many times I go back, even though it feels good in that moment, it always leads me back to the same pain every
Man.
time.
Yeah. I recently heard I think it was a video or a podcast or something like that. It was talking about basically what you had just said, that whenever you leave a toxic relationship, that your brain is so used to that pattern. If it can just get one hit off of that person, it
Mhm.
relieves you. It's kind of like going through withdrawals, because I never understood that myself. I'm like, why do I keep just wanting to hear from this person, you know? And
Yeah,
so
it's
I like
actually
heard
not
that.
your fault.
It's
It's
so
not your
crazy.
fault.
Right. It's just crazy. So, what do you think like the hardest part is whenever it comes to walking away from a toxic relationship? What do you think that somebody that knows that they are in that situation and they know deep inside that they need to leave, what could give them the strength to actually do it?
I think that you have to first and foremost make up your mind because a lot of the times you come out of it and you're so discombobulated and so confused and you haven't really gotten to the place where you've looked at the whole thing as a like a bigger picture and realized like there this is over, like
Mhm.
this is not my person. And so you come out of it and you can be pulled either way because you haven't made up in your mind that it's over.
Right.
um you haven't accepted that this pain is inevitable and there's nothing you can do to get rid of it. Like it is coming. The pain of leaving is coming. And the pain of staying is staying. We've talked about
Mhm.
this, like
Exactly.
you have no choice. When a
Right.
relationship, especially a toxic relationship, is over, you have no choice but to face the pain that is coming your way or
Mm,
that you're already in and accept it and allow it to pass through. Um,
exactly.
but you have to make up your mind that you are done,
Right.
um, that you deserve better,
Mhm.
that there's better for you, that you want better for yourself. And you
Mhm.
have to believe that you're strong enough. Because if you are doing this and you're like, I'm not strong enough to do this, I'm not strong enough to do this, you won't. You'll break every
Exactly.
single time. And that's
Exactly.
not to say you can't have moments of that because we all do, we're human.
Mhm.
But you have to be so set in your mind of, you know what? It has to be over, even though I don't want it to, even though it hurts. It
Right.
has to be over. It is over. And I
Mhm.
am strong enough to push through this no matter how hard it gets until
Right.
this pain passes.
That's so good. I know that there's so many women that listen to this and they know that they need to leave a situation. They're not truly happy. They know that, but they just don't have the energy. They feel like they
Yeah.
don't have the energy to do it. And like that's how I felt whenever I left my toxic
Mhm.
relationship. And I'm
There's
just like,
never a good time.
there really isn't.
There's never
There
a good
will
time.
never
You
be a
never
good
have
time.
the energy
Mhm.
because the toxic relationship is sucking that life right out of you,
Oh my gosh,
sucking
yeah.
life out of you.
Yes.
You'll never
I
feel strong enough to do it. That's why you have to make the choice.
exactly. And did you ever feel like you were just so emotionally drained, like, whenever that person came home, you just wanted to sleep? Did you ever feel like that? To just
Oh,
not have to
girl.
deal with life?
There were times that I would spend days in bed. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, not physically, like I wasn't there for like, but I didn't leave my house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
it was in and out of bed all day.
Right.
Um, just completely drained, completely
Mhm.
empty, completely just lifeless. Like didn't know
Mhm.
who I was anymore, didn't know what my purpose was anymore, didn't know if I would ever feel again or love myself again or love life again.
Right. Isn't it crazy what a man can do to you? In a negative way. I'm like,
But you know
"Man."
what's crazier is that we allow it.
What'd you
What's
say? I'm sorry?
crazier is what's crazier is that we allow it, you
That
know?
is, yeah, that's very true.
And I'm a huge proponent of accountability. Like
Mhm.
I don't think that treating someone badly is ever okay,
Right.
especially when you're deliberately doing it, and a lot of them do.
Mhm.
But I also have come to realize that that isn't even possible unless I allow it.
It's very true. I never thought about
If
it like that.
you learn your boundaries and you learn what you deserve and you stay true to that, you won't experience these types of toxic relationships. And that's what I'm learning. And
Yeah.
that's why I'm in therapy
Right.
because I know my own patterns have led me into these situations every single time.
Wow. That's very
My
powerful.
own willingness to sacrifice my boundaries for the desire of being loved and needed
Mhm.
and wanted,
Wow.
and that is the problem.
Right.
It's not even that they're toxic because a toxic person is a toxic person. You get
Yeah.
to choose whether they are
Exactly.
in your life or not.
Right. That's really good. So how has your life changed since walking away?
Oh, girl. Uh, you know what? I can honestly say that you experience an immeasurable amount of peace when you finally let go.
Mm.
Like it is indescribable. And when you truly look at the whole thing and you go, you know what? I was so I was so miserable. I was so miserable in this. And I thought I needed this person and I wanted this person so bad. But every second that I accept that it's over, I feel more and more peace.
Mm.
I feel more and more free. I feel more and more grateful to God and the universe for ending this cycle,
Right.
And
Yeah.
I feel like you can only get there when you honest to God are truthful with yourself and you say
Mhm.
it's over.
Right.
This person that I was that allowed these behaviors is gone and over and I don't ever want to be that person again, and there's nothing wrong with that person. It was
Mhm.
a hurting person, a traumatized person that didn't know how to do better for themselves, but this is over. And I
Right.
have to move into a space where I only allow people in my life that deserve to be there, you know?
I love that. Yeah, for sure. So, I know that whenever you started posting on social media and stuff like that, was that, like, during, like, a breakup or in the midst of all that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I always joke when I'm dating, like, I always joke, like, "Just so you know, I'm, the Taylor Swift of social media." Like,
Yeah, for real.
when I'm going through something, I am open and honest about it. I don't hide
Yeah,
it. So,
I
you
love
know,
that though.
like, just cautionary for you, like, but no, I I started, posting honestly, like, it was I wanna say it was 2 or so years ago, maybe a little less, I don't even remember, but,
Mhm.
I started posting after leaving my marriage, which I don't talk about a lot, and I have reasons for that, but,
Sure.
it was mostly just to express myself and how I
Mhm.
was feeling and also, like, let other people know that they were not alone, like, that there are other people experiencing the same things,
Right.
and it kinda blew up, but the one thing that really blew up was a situation after my divorce, after my marriage,
Gotcha.
where it was a toxic relationship, a toxic cycle that I knew, like I said all along, I knew the whole time, like,
Yeah.
"This isn't
And
good," and it nearly destroyed me, like, it was one of those situations where I I felt like I will never recover from this. I will never recover from this pain. Like I genuinely completely lost myself in that. But here's the thing. I did recover. I did.
that's amazing.
Because we don't realize how strong we are. We
Right.
don't realize it.
Mhm.
And when you finally see the lesson of every situation that you encounter, you can come out of it in a different way and it hurts a little bit less every time because you realize it's taught you something that you absolutely needed to know.
Right. I love that. So, while you were going through that and even after that, did you ever have, like, a moment to where you were like, "Oh, okay. This is why I had to go through everything I went through to get to this point, to be able to be a survival guide to millions of people."
You
Like,
know,
you know?
it is unbelievable to me how my videos have reached so many people. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I always knew deep inside that, like, I was an empathetic, loving person, and I always knew that I was able to relate to people and connect with people in a really beautiful way,
Right.
but I had no idea that it would lead to where it's led.
That's
And
amazing.
every video I've ever left or made was genuinely in the hope that, like, as I'm healing, I hope this heals you too, because
Mm.
I'm
Yeah.
learning from this. And
Right.
now I realize that, like, that is what life is about. For me, I feel genuinely that my purpose and so many others' purposes are to experience the hard things, fight through them, find yourself in them, learn from them, and teach the people behind you, to show them
Wow.
the way, to be that light in their darkness. That's the whole point. That's
Yeah,
the
I
whole
love
point.
that.
And that is, I genuinely feel that is my mission and my hope and my purpose. And that is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And so, yeah, I do feel like all of those experiences were necessary because
Right.
all of those experiences are helping thousands and millions of other people come out in a different way or avoid things that I didn't avoid. And
Exactly.
the whole point, you know?
That's so, so powerful. It's crazy. So, I
Yeah.
know that, like, your whole is it called This Is How We Heal? Like, is that your
So this is where we heal. Yeah.
okay, okay.
It's a platform I'm going to be launching soon. And it's for that reason, just so that we all have one place we can go from home
Mhm.
mm, to connect with one another and have support systems and have resources and have therapists and motivational speakers and people that understand where we're coming from and the pain we're experiencing and help us to get out of the toxic cycles and out of
Mhm.
the trauma that we're
Mhm.
still carrying so that we can have better relationships.
I love that. So, in
And yours
conclusion
too. You have yours too.
yeah, absolutely. I'm super, super pumped with where this is going for sure. So, in conclusion, though, what are some different ways that these women that are going through a toxic relationship, or they're walking away?
Yeah.
What are some ways that they can actually things that they can do to help heal them, if that makes sense? Because I know a lot of women don't really know.
I would say first and foremost, let the pain come
Mhm.
and feel it. Like, sit in it. Like,
Mhm.
truly, truly, and it is not fun. It is not
No.
fun. But the more you sit in it, the more you feel it and not and refuse to suppress it, the
Mhm.
more it can pass through you. And then I think for me, one of the most important things I've ever done is affirmations. I am
Mhm.
such a big believer in affirmations. And even when my thoughts are just all over the place, consistently, even if and for sometimes I even put notes in my phone so that if I'm going throughout the day and I start to like cycle down a pattern of bad thoughts and negative thoughts about myself, that I have something that will remind me like I am beautiful, I am whole, I am happy. And here's the thing about affirmations that I've realized. You aren't going to feel them when you first start saying them.
Exactly.
You say them until you start to believe it.
Mhm.
So I do affirmations over myself every morning. Every single morning, every night, and I'll do it during the day. And I think it's just so, so important.
It
Um,
is.
and then
For
being
sure.
surrounded by people that love you, like being
Absolutely.
surrounded by people that genuinely, truly believe in you and love
Mhm.
you through it all, no matter what decisions you make. Those are
Exactly.
the people. And it's so important.
It is. I totally agree. So, do you have anything else though that you wanna share that was so, so powerful? Any
Um,
other topics
I would
that
like
you
to
would like
say to any women that are in it right now, that are back and forth, it's not your
Mhm.
fault. Like, it's not your fault.
Mm.
Be so gracious with yourself. Like, take the pressure off yourself of feeling like you deserved it. Take the pressure off yourself, like feeling like because you were, you know, stupid enough to stay that it's your fault. It's not. It is not your fault. The way that
Mhm.
people treat you is not your fault.
Mm.
Like, you are a beautiful person that is worthy of love. You are valuable. You are important. And none of that changes based on the way that someone treats you. None of that changes. It is
Right.
not your fault that they treated you that way.
Mhm.
But it is your responsibility to make the hard choice, to choose you, to come out of this place, out of this fog, and back into the light because you deserve so much better. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be really, 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 it'll be one of the hardest things you've ever done in your life.
Mhm.
But you absolutely, without a doubt, have the strength to do it. You have the strength to do it, and you can do it, and you will do it. So quit blaming yourself, see it for what it is, remember what you're worth, and walk away knowing that you are going to end up in a relationship that is so beautiful that you will never look back on this again.
Man, that is so powerful. I love that. Thank you so much
Of
for your time and for
course,
being
of course.
here. There's so many people that's gonna be so inspired by everything that you share with us today. So
I love
we
it
will
so much.
absolutely. We will see you guys on the next upcoming show. See ya.
See ya.